Are we live?
Shows we're live.
So, and we're waiting for the producer to go, good morning, everybody. We're coming to you live right here from inside the main build facility at Bubba's Exotic Motorsports. I'm Tom. We all know the gator crushing master Diesel, who's tired. He's been out hunting alligators all night long, as he commonly will, the nocturnal bully dog and the master Bub. Good morning, Bub. How are we today?
Doing pretty good so far, man. Just a lot of things going on here around the facility. It is the week before Christmas, so we are trying to crank out a lot of these rides, get them over to the clients, as many as possible as we can, and then get out there and get some shopping done for ourselves.
How about that? We haven't even had a chance to start. This
Not
episode's
even one.
Not even one. This episode is brought to you by Bubba's Exotic Motorsports. That's Bubba'sExoticMotorsports.com. Make sure you shop all of our online apparel, accessories, great Christmas gifts, and now 19,000 partners items for sale right there. American Racing, Nitto Tire, Steeda Autosports. What are some of the other ones? Custom Performance Engineering, Bub.
Diodynamics.
Diodynamics. It's all
American
out there,
Racing. Any kind of wheel, tire brand you can imagine, it is all out there on the site.
Absolutely. And we're going to be doing a lot of great stuff with Renegade Fuels. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later on. Miss Outlaw Boutique, that's MS Outlaw Boutique, ladies and gentlemen. The moose is loose in Abacoa, 561-660-6695. Now open extended hours for you through Sunday, Christmas Eve. Bub, pretty exciting stuff going on over there. For the best in Outlaw Boutique accessories and apparel, Bub, it is Miss Outlaw Boutique, the beautiful Robin and Layla over there killing it. How about that, Bub?
Yep.
Right? I can't say enough about, Bub, I'm going to talk about one of your big sponsors that goes back from day one, who believed in you, Bub, who had a vested interest in you. I get chills when I think about them, who recognized you as one of the best even then. Our great sponsor, Phil Heck and
Woodward Fab.
Woodward Fabrication. Woodward Fabrication is fabrication equipment done Bubba style. Bub and the legendary Goaty Bo from the former Street Outlaws 405 crew, we've got more stuff coming about that, Bub, have been talking back and forth. I was in discussion with both of these master builders, designers, and fabricators yesterday. I will be talking a little bit more, Bub. We have some tremendously technologically advanced equipment coming in for the new show from Phil Heck and the whole crew out there, Bub.
Yeah, man, it's, just like everything else in the industry, they just continue to push that bar up to another level in terms of all of their sheet metal and fabrication equipment that they do offer. Myself, I use it here at BEM.
That's all you've ever used.
Billy Lane uses it up at Choppers Inc. It is some of the best equipment out there you are going to get your hands on, and you can literally do anything. Anything. You can, if you can understand how to work that piece of equipment, how to master it, you can build anything you can imagine.
It's crazy, isn't it, man?
Yep.
It's just absolutely insane. So, Woodward Fabrication is fabrication done Bubba style. And you've been very loyal to them, even though you've been approached by other equipment, fabrication equipment personnel, Bub. And finally, the Guinness World Record holding largest cars and coffee event in the world, Cars and Coffee of Palm Beach. Bub, this month, or January, we'll be there on the 21st of January. It's going to be a huge show, epic show. The boys from the 405 crew from the former Street Outlaw show will be out there, and Monster Energy, where it is red, white, and blue, ladies and gentlemen. Bub, we're going to, good morning to Brian Lufthoff out there. He says, good morning, beautiful people. Brian, you sign that piece of paper, get it back over to our entertainment attorney, Mr. Joe Jansen. It's going to be all good. We did send out, Bub, some paperwork to all the former 405 boys today. It is going out to, they have to sign it and get it back to our entertainment attorney. I just got off the phone with the legend, Mr. Wayne Varley, whose gold car is sitting right here to my right on the padded film stage floor. And they just got
that is a pretty color on that car.
Beautiful color, man.
That's, it can't just be base coat. There's got to be a pearl tint coat to that top coat, man. It has too much of a color change to it. It looks really good.
It really does.
A lot of people actually throw jokes out there that it's not a good looking color. I'll tell you what,
it's a beautiful
that's
car.
a good looking color. That's like my style right there. That with some matte black accenting, they play together really well.
I know, Bub, you're going to be talking to the legend here probably sometime today or tomorrow. Then up and out that 572 comes, and it's going Bubba style. Bub, this is a very touchy subject we're going to hit on today. This could go on for hours and hours and hours. The legend is watching us. Good morning, Wayne Varley out there. He is the owner of the 405 Gold car.
Yep.
Wayne, who did the paint job on that, please? Bub really, really loves that paint work on there. This is going to be a very in-depth, we can't get too in-depth, Bub. There's just too many dynamics of all of this and how this all comes together. But we're going to talk a little bit about, as we're moving into this new project with the former Street Outlaws, motors, Bub, and how do you build them? And it's long since been known that you started the camshaft and work out with these things. And let's talk about some of the older antiquated stuff versus the new stuff.
So, yeah, man. So in today's world, as everybody knows, if you are an automotive enthusiast, you can virtually get anything you can think of. It is probably out there and probably available. One of the cases is a lot of guys that still do, let's say, older restorations, sometimes street rods, sometimes stuff that's not up to today's full standards in terms of like LS powered motors when you're doing swaps, anything like that. There are guys who still want to retain that original Gen 1 style small block Chevrolet motor.
And Bub, can you tell me, I'm sorry to interrupt, two of the terms you've used is Gen 1, small block Chevrolet, and LS. Could you tell me this, and this applies to Ford products and Mopar products as well, we're just using GM on this particular. What is an LS motor? What are the years? What is a Gen 1? Tell us a little bit technically about what those are.
So it was, Gen 1 was the first generation motor. That was this motor. That's a small block V8. That was everything from 55 up to 86. From there, they switched that over, still retaining the small block Chevrolet style, but they did go with a center bolt style head on it from 87 to 95. So that was done as well. And then going from there, you go into like an LT based motor. Those were the previous platforms like an L98 series, going whether it's a 5.0, 5.7. Then you went LT base, which was either LT1, LT4. Then from there you go to LS base. So the LS being the third generation, that is where everybody is at in terms of like modern performance, resto mod, pro touring swaps, even just big power applications. Now you can take those motors, do fully forged internals, get everything aluminum for them, and then boost these things up to easily 1,500 horsepower, no problem at all.
Really?
Yeah, basic.
So, Bub, what is the difference in between, say, the LS or LT? You're saying LS platform, is that correct? The LS Gen 3, is it what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, what is the difference, say, between the Gen 3 LS platform versus this stock small block that we just learned ran from 55 to 84, 86?
So the number one difference, man, Jesus. Number one difference is going to be not only its age, the material that you're working with. This is all cast. This is very heavy equipment, heavy weight product that you're working with here. Yes, it's good, has a lot of weight to it. Is it as strong? Some people say yes, some people say no. The LS-based platform is much more expandable in terms of how you build that power application. These things have been around for a long time. You can get anything you can imagine for them in terms of heads, camshafts, rotating assemblies, gasket style, all kinds of stuff you can get. But a lot of guys struggle in terms of the way that these things seal up. You're still using kind of like an old generic style silicone adhesive when you're putting the motor together. It's not very fast when it comes to working on them. If you want to just pull the valve covers off, typically a lot of guys will run like silicone on them just to make sure that they don't leak anywhere.
What is your feeling about silicone use on engine, on building of engines? You're kind of sticky about that.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. On a lot of like LS-based motors, sometimes you only have one or two little dabs of silicone just in like a mating surface of a 45, maybe in a valley pan, maybe on the corners of where the intake lays down. You may just have very small pieces of silicone put somewhere, where these, for example, on like the front and the rear sealing areas of the intake manifold itself, you could either use cork gaskets, which are literally sticky on the bottom side, and you stick them down to the head of or the top surface of the block, and then you can just set the intake on top, which sometimes that works, but typically what happens is if those get saturated over plenty thousand miles, those will eventually start just leaking because they're already saturated with oil. They will start leaking. A lot of guys will literally run a full like 1/4 inch tall by 1/4 inch wide bead of silicone all the way across the front and rear intake sealing areas. That way you ensure something that lasts a really long time. That's what I always choose to do when I'm building small block Gen 1 based stuff, is using silicone beads. But when you get into, say, quick servicing on the weekend, maybe you want to just pull a part off of it, it takes a lot longer because you've got to sit there for another hour now cleaning the surfaces to prep it for the next set of silicone. Where like the LS series stuff, if you want to take a valve cover off, check it out, make sure everything's good, you can put it right back on with that same gasket and not have a problem.
Interesting, Bub, because you like to steer away as much as you can from silicone-based products because you don't like taking a chance of it being smashed between the two mating surfaces, breaking up and getting up underneath the oil pan or the the oil pickup itself. You're very cautious about that. And I've never seen a motor you have built that's leaked or come back for equipment or reliability problems, so it's a pretty good thing. But one of the things, these are some of the older parts that we don't see much use of anymore.
Yeah, so you're actually holding, that's actually a factory small block Chevrolet exhaust manifold. Typically, these things, when they have a mount on them, a lot of the time you saw this in cases where it either had alternator brackets, sometimes accessories, power steering brackets, or even AC systems if this were a passenger or driver's side, depending on where that was located. You know, these things, as you felt right there, that's probably what, a 20-pound manifold?
Yes.
So that compared to its flow versus what it puts out for power, what it retains for heat because it's all cast, you can literally lay down this next to a long tube header side by side, and it's going to be a night and day difference. And that's where today's technology brings in so much fun, because you can literally take this off, scrap it, and say if this is going into like a 70 Chevelle, you can buy a set of long tube headers for a 70 Chevelle, 70 to 72, 68 to 72, and they'll probably bolt right on here with no frame clearance rubbing issues at all, and it will give you plenty of torque, huge improvement on the power, and great sound.
What is the difference then, Bub, between, and numerically you understand all this, but what is the big difference technically between short tube or block hugger type headers and long tube? What is the performance difference?
A lot of the time what you find is, you know, when you're working with stuff that is like you typically have like shorty headers, you have mid-length headers, you have long tube headers. Some of them are literally equal length tubes, so they are fine tuned when they are built. So every tube, whether it be, you know, 1, 3, 5, 7, doesn't matter what tube it is, they're all going to be the exact same length by the time they get down to the collector when they're done being built. But I'll tell you what, man, all of those things change the way this motor is going to perform. A lot of them, sometimes you do it just strictly on a clearance-based application. Maybe you can't get a set of long tubes on a car. A lot of the modern Mustangs, if you're working with like the new Coyote motors, very hard to get them in there. You can get them in there, but it is a very tight setup. A lot of guys want a shorty, stick them on, and it's done in a couple minutes versus having to raise the motor, drop the K-member, all kinds of hard work like that. So there are different pros and cons to it, but 99% of the time, people typically lean towards long tube headers on like street strip applications. It does give you a very low end, but a very broad range of power all the way across the board.
Across the board,
Yep.
correct, that you see on the dynos when
Yep.
you run those out there, Bob. Another thing we look at, good morning to Andrade Senior, he said, put that small block in the gold car and make it faster, Bob. Well, you've certainly made a lot of power out of small blocks, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Tons of them. And good morning to James. Good morning, James, out there. Didn't hear from him at all day yesterday, although he was texting with everybody else. I was left sitting by the side of the road, didn't hear a word from him. He said, man, you guys seriously need to do something about that Wi-Fi.
We should be on our network,
It
not
should be on our
Wi-Fi.
network, yeah, that's
Should be on
exactly what we
Sprint.
should be. So we'll get that looked at. Thanks, James. And give me a text. I need to talk to you, my friend. Bub, here's what do we have right here in terms of what is this, first of all?
So this is a Edelbrock series carburetor. This is based off of a Weber platform. So this is nothing more than a square bore 4-barrel carburetor assembly.
Square bore because of the way this is kind of squared
Yep,
out?
it's mating flange.
Okay, it's mating flange on the bottom. When you built with carbureted applications, you understand carbureted applications extremely well. These do not come out of the box and get bolted on, do they?
No, you typically when you pull them out of the box, they're flow tested at all factories, whether it be Edelbrock, Holley, QuickTime, I mean any of these things. It doesn't matter where they are set. These things are all flow tested, but that is always going to change with every engine you're building. It's going to change based on your fuel pump, based on your location, you know, what your air fuel delivery is going to be, based on your engine compression, how much vacuum it pulls. It is going to change every last piece about these things. So guys out there, big tech tip, don't just expect to take carburetors out of the box, start your car up, stick it and drive and go. It's not going to be the most efficient application you can get. You can take time and read those books, man. Typically they're 15 to 30 pages long. But if you do take the time and read them to set them up on your air fuel delivery, your float height, you can get all your mixtures set right. You can make sure that your fuel pressure is set right going inlet to it. Big problem there. A lot of people screw that one up is, you know, they think you can dump more fuel pressure in 9 pounds at a pump and just let it kind of slowly stop up here at 5.5 pounds. Most carburetors are recommended in between that 5.5, especially for Edelbrock. Holley sometimes on the 6.5 side, and then you can get up into like race applications up to 9, 9.5, depending on what you're working with for like street cars where you don't want a lot of flooding going on.
So, Bub, so the fuel regulation that comes into these things is 5 to 6 pounds, is what you're saying. Bub, what do we have sitting on the side of this carburetor here? Again, you're not a big carburetor builder anymore. You've moved over to the EFI systems quite a bit, although you understand these very intricately.
Yeah, so this is actually an electronic choke right here. A lot of carburetors from the older days, if you're talking like, you know, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60s, all in the early era, these things were typically either on a heat riser setup where the choke literally allowed itself to heat up from exhaust that passed through on the bottom side of it or on the back side of it. That's literally what heated up this choke. Or you would work with something that was cable operated that you pull a knob in the dash. A lot of like early mid-50s, early 60s cars had a manual lever you would actually pull, and then you have to feather out between choke and throttle just to get your car warmed up and running. These things are as efficient as a carburetor is really going to get, especially in like a street application. Edelbrock's very nice for mild applications up to 240-degree duration. That's what these things can handle. And you can literally set these things, tune them, and be pretty close to that same consistent tune all year round.
And Bub, one of the things you just mentioned was 240 durations. Tell us a little bit about what that is. Identify that
So
for us.
that's actually on the duration of your camshaft that's in your motor. And again, this is where everybody has to understand. It's not just like you buy a carburetor you think is going to fit your motor. You can't just put something on because it's got the same mounting bolts, it's got the same 4 studs on it. You have to take it deeper than that. You have to know what size motor you're working with, whether it's like 302, 327, 350, 383 stroker. There are so many different sizes you have to work with just there to make sure you're giving the right amount of fuel, but then also understand what size camshaft you have to make sure that this carburetor can actually create enough, or the camshaft can create enough vacuum to continually draw a good idle circuit down from the carburetor itself. And there are different car manufacturers out there that do 240 duration, 250 duration, northwards of 260 and up.
So, Bub, let's talk real quick about camshafts. You used to see, especially, here before these LS platforms really started taking over, people complaining that they had no brakes in the car at all and a huge camshaft. What happened?
So a lot of the time, people just pick up the phone and they buy the biggest cam they can get, right? So there are good ways to do that and there are bad ways to do it. Bad ways are typically the fact that people do just that. They pick up the phone, they buy the biggest cam they can get just because the numbers in the book are really big and they know it's going to sound really cool coming out of the exhaust. But a lot of the time you run into problems with power brakes, you run into problems with controlling your idle circuit on basic carburetors unless you have something custom built for that cam setup. Most motors can't typically handle a huge camshaft. They're typically not built for that. Most guys will take a stock small block Chevrolet engine, just a basic 350 that's putting out maybe 275 horsepower, and they just pull out the stock cam and shove in this massive one that's probably meant for a good 550 plus horse. Never going to be the best performing application like that. But you do go out in today's world, again, you can go and find muscle car sound camshafts that have great specs built into them so that they give you that muscle car retro sound, but also give you everything about the driving characteristics you need in terms of having great vacuum at idle, having great performance, having a great power band, retaining that sound out the backside, and having great power brakes as well.
And Bob, one of the other things I wanted to ask you about, and I know this doesn't apply just to the carbureted applications, but to the fuel-injected applications. We talked about idle circuit. What is an idle circuit a little bit?
So your idle circuit is naturally, as the motor's sitting there running, it is drawing vacuum on itself. You do have to set an air-fuel mixture based off of whatever that vacuum is. A lot of guys really screw that up as well, man. Some guys think that, for example, like Edelbrock carburetors, on the front there are 2 screws. A lot of guys literally think that one is air and one is fuel, and that is absolutely not the case. Cannot tell you how many times people call us with those questions. It is air delivery by itself, that's natural induction, and then both of those on the left and the right are both fuel delivery for the left side of the carb and the right side of the carb, and whatever you do to one has to be done to the other. Don't do one a half turn more than the other one. These things are literally built from the factory, from Edelbrock, from Holley, wherever it is you're running your carburetor from. They're all drilled and milled to the exact same spec on both sides, so you run them all the way in, seat them, lightly turn them out, a good 1 turn to get the car fired up and started, and then you're looking for what you would consider your best lean best idle, and at that point, you just continually either pull those screws out a 1/4 turn at a time, or you go in a 1/4 turn at a time until you achieve that highest RPM.
It runs really good when you're done. But one of the things too, and I know this applies to a carbureted and a non-carbureted EFI situation, let's talk about what these plates are back here real quick.
Yeah, so you have your primaries, which are on your front, you have your secondaries on the rear portion of the carburetor, and again, this thing being a square bore setup, as you progressively open that throttle, you're going to run mainly off of your front 2 plates, and then as you go more into like that half 3/4 throttle area, you are going to open up the rear plates and get full fuel.
And Bub, one of the other things I'd like to talk a little bit about here is there's a gap that sits right at the bottom of this butterfly between here and the seat right there. Let's talk a little bit about that and why that's so important and it's so overlooked.
So that's actually one of the biggest things that most people screw up, especially in Holly applications where you're working with a front and a rear transfer slot. That is called the idle transfer slot, and it is a long rectangle, probably about 1/4 of an inch long through that throttle bore itself. What you want to do is typically set those things out of the box. You want to set them to about the thickness of 20 thousandths of a feeler gauge. Some carbs a little more, some a little less, and all of those tips are in every instruction manual you get for your application. Again, they will tell you base that off of what your engine is trying to do. So if you typically want a motor that is idling a little bit above 1,000, you want to start with both of those things set to 20 thousandths and then go from there. And again, it's just like that air fuel screw. You want to adjust your front and your rear the exact amount. So if you go 1/4 turn on the front, 1/4 turn on the rear, so everything will be even, and all of your adjustment screws will counteract the way that they should.
One of the things too is, Bub, this does affect not only the idle, but the off-idle operation of the vehicle.
Oh, big time, yeah.
So for example, we can have a perfectly strong, just a smooth idle. However, and these cars will, I watch you every day, if you're working with, excuse me, a carbureted application, you can make these things run so smooth, man.
Yeah.
Butter smooth, even with a heavy cam. Just because you have a heavy cam doesn't mean the car has to rock all over the place.
No, not at all.
Doesn't.
You got to get it rolling like it should.
That's correct. And if these butterflies are not set properly right here, you can get a great idle, but as soon as you stab the thing, it's falling all over itself.
Yeah.
Same thing with fuel injected applications.
Yeah, there's a lot that you have to do in terms of getting these things dialed in. It's not just taking any product out of a box and sticking it on. Take the time and literally go step by step and make sure every piece is hand in hand. Don't just flip through a magazine and be like, oh, that's a really cool looking part. I feel like I want to change it because it says it's going to give me 40 horsepower, 100 horsepower, whatever it is. Don't just buy it because it says that. Make sure it's going to fit with your application. And then also, if you want to take the time, before you even spend a single penny, go out to that manufacturer's site, pull up the product number of what it is you're interested in, and literally pull up the instructions for it and read the instructions to see if either you can be well-versed with it, you feel comfortable about the install yourself if you are going to do it yourself, or if it even is going to line up with everything in those instructions with what you already have. Before you even spend any money.
That's what you do. You make
Yep.
sure everything's in synchronicity before. And again, Bob, I think one of the other things I'd like to touch on or add is if you're doing an EFI setup, you also have to make sure you're comfortable doing tuning as well.
Yeah.
Bub, you got some on the board right there.
Yeah, we got Bob Snowman.
Morning, Snowman.
Russell Smith, good morning. Let's see, I still run a small block Chevrolet, but I'm a fan of Holly. Yes, agreed. Russell Fulford, and let's see here, is that evening? Good evening?
Yep.
So where is he? He can't be anywhere here
No,
because we're in good morning.
Well, we got fans all over the world.
We've got, let's see here, good video. The dog is interesting. This is Diesel right here.
He's, in fact, Diesel's tattooed right there on my arm. Diesel does come of, his parents are 3-time Blue Ribbon Grand Champions out of California. Diesel was born on October 6th, 2009. He has been on every episode of every network television show we've done. He has also been on every marketing application we have done and on every show Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we've done. We very much enjoy him being with us. He's a very, very special part of our life, Bub.
Yeah.
His sister's name is?
Piston.
So Piston and Diesel. And
Right, D?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I'll
know
tell you
your
what, man,
sister's
it's,
name, right?
you know, the difference really in terms of, you know, power packages, right? So a lot of guys wonder, what's better? Edelbrock, Holly, Quick Fuel, there's so many companies out there, Fast. There are so many companies out there that offer something great to bring to the industry. And let me tell you, I build with all of them all of the time, even though I'm sponsored by a couple individuals. There are so many great products out there that literally can line up and match and give you everything you'd ever need them to be. Just all about what you're building for an application. So a lot of guys, if you want something basic and easy, Edelbrocks build very, very good, mild street applications. I've had a lot of people that always say, you know, I want to go with like a stroker motor and then put Edelbrock carb on it. Every time I've done that, it's never really been the best benefit. You know, I really feel like these are a great combo when you put them on just small block, clean application, get in, turn the key, just mild camshaft setup.
And just drive.
And just cruise. They're
Just
great for
drive.
cruiser setups. They come on decently strong. You know, they've got a great responsiveness to them. But on the wide open throttle side, I would have to say I would lean towards Holly on it. You can get all of those same features, But on the Holly side, typically if you're working with like a double pumper, you get a much more heavy fuel charge, a fuel shot. So you do get a lot more power on that wide open throttle pull from a Holly side. One of the benefits I love about Holly is the fact that you can actually get clear sight bowls on the side. So adjusting floats, you're not getting your hands completely covered in fuel as you are with this, where you have to remove an entire top hat, 14 screws, bend all the tabs and check all the float. It's a lot more sophisticated just to do that. Granted, once you do it, it's done one time, but it does make it a little easier when you work with like a Holly application where you just right on the side, you adjust those sight bowls, you're done, you set them and it's over.
That's correct. I watch you bump on, when you're working on a Holly, you just gently tap the fender.
Yeah.
You've got the motor running so smooth, and you just watch what the gas is doing. Russell Fulford is in Toten, Southampton, United Kingdom. Thank you. And he said,
Nice.
And he says that Bub's Diesel's a beauty. Russell, thank you, man. Seriously, from our heart. We have fans all over the world, millions of them all over the world. We enjoy it. If there are any questions, Russell, that Bub the Master can answer for you, all you have to do is write them down or send them in to us here live, and you see that we will answer them for you. But there's a lot more that goes into the technicals of this, especially when it comes into the newer applications, the
Yeah.
EFI setups.
Yep.
That simply becomes rote of memory after a while because you're staying on the cutting edge of that and you're working with all of that technology and information. And then if you want to, one of the things you were a huge builder for a long time with nitrous type products. You moved away from that because the turbocharger started building so much more power for you. And we are working with the legend, Wayne Varley, and the Gold Car, and is our new production. Will be proving very soon just how powerful these turbo applications are that you build.
Yeah, it's it's all about, at the end of the day, man, it's all personal preference. Everybody's got their own personal preference. One is Ford, one is Chevrolet, one's Mopar, one's nitrous, one's turbo, one's supercharged. There's a lot of guys out there that have their own opinions, and that's fine and dandy. It's just what everyone wants to build.
Is there an inherent risk, Bud, when you start combining things like maybe a Pro Charger or a turbocharger? And I know you're a turbo guy. You're stupid versed on those platforms because you have been married up in the R&D department of Turbonetics, and a lot of people don't know that. You've been part of the Turbonetics R&D department for many, many years, and they turn to you to help develop and mass market products. Hence the Turbonetics SSX Camaro and the BEM SEMA 17 car. That was just stunning. Is there an inherent danger when you start putting nitrous and turbos together in terms of engine internals and things like that? What is kind of your opinion on those things?
Well, yeah, I mean, anytime that you do an engine modification, it doesn't matter if it's 600 horsepower, if it's 4,000 horsepower, it's dangerous. You're working with mechanical components that will eventually at some point let go. And the harder you push them, the more that they are going to get stressed. That's just what happens. You're working with these pieces. You can, if you're just taking something and you're going to build a motor start to finish, you build it properly and you can put all that crap to it and not have to worry about it. Make sure everything's forged internally, that all the studs can handle the pressure you're going to create, that the gaskets can handle it, that the bolts, the hardware that you use can handle it. All of those items, if you take it into consideration at the start, won't be a problem the first time you try to use that sucker down the road.
Now, let me ask you, Bob, can you build as much horsepower just using and I don't know, and perhaps some fans don't know, can you build as much horsepower just using bigger turbo applications than you can if you use a smaller turbo and nitrous or like that? How does that kind of work or come together?
That's a tricky one. That's always a question we get all the time about, everybody always thinks turbos bigger is better. It's not so much the case. It's, typically about what your motor's even producing for airflow. You could just put a huge turbo on there and your motor can't even produce the kind of airflow that turbo needs to get into its efficient range to where it runs at its maximum. So it's all about, knowing what kind of motor you're working with, knowing what kind of platform you have, and then how you're trying to get to that next step, and then just doing the research. It's all about research when you're building this kind of stuff.
It is, and you're very researched. Good morning, Lou and Hayden from Ozark, Missouri. How's the weather out there? I guarantee it's cold.
Yeah.
It's got to be cold. And Jeremy Robertson, turbo small block Chevrolet to the front. Yep, to the front soon. Yes, absolutely. I mean, you love to build the small blocks and twist as much power out of them as you can. You feel the come-on power is much better. You don't have as much light. You just love that small block grunt, man.
Yeah, man. They, you can build them pretty strong, and it's, if built properly, I'm really known for a lot of small block stroker combos, and you know, you can just lay into these things and just hold them to the floor at 7,500 RPM and just, I mean,
go.
sideways everywhere up the road, and it just doesn't let off. The
It
power
doesn't.
never comes out.
It just keeps coming down.
You know, that's what I'm really known for, man. And if, you know, you take that and then you combine it with, you know, that would be a high compression scenario. If you were to go with, for example, like this, it's a 350 from GM Performance. Nothing crazy. This is just rocking an Edelbrock Performer carburetor, I'm sorry, not carburetor. It's rocking an Edelbrock Performer Series camshaft.
Yep.
Very nice, mild camshaft. Gives you a little bit of that sound, a little bit more on the power. This is an idle to 5,500 motor build. So it's got the Edelbrock Performer Series cam, Performer Series intake, low-rise manifold. Also, we're going to rock it, not with this busted carburetor here, but we are going to throw a 650 CFM Edelbrock carburetor on here. So it is a full match street combo. This thing would be really fun if we were to throw on a turbo, say maybe 7 pounds of boost. It would take it from what's going to be in like the 375 range, probably up towards that 490, 500 range.
That's a good cruiser,
And it'd be
though, right?
comfortable, you know, 6, 7 pounds of boost, that's all it really needs. And, you know, that's more than enough for a street car. This is actually going into a Chevrolet 3100. So this is actually a modern swap we're doing. This thing will have a 700 R4 hook to the back of it, 373 rear gear. So it's going to be
That's almost like a Chevrolet Camaro setup.
almost like a Chevrolet Camaro, Corvette, Firebird, all from like that mid-'80s, early '90s, you know, era. It's going to be just a fun cruiser for the guy.
And that's what you know, you're looking to build, in this particular case, some fuel economy, Bub, 20, 22 miles to the gallon,
Yep.
plus a little bit of performance and have some fun as well.
That's right.
You can't have just performance or just fuel economy.
Yeah.
You have to learn to work in the middle.
Yep.
Lewin said, Lewin Hayden out there, our good friend in Ozark, Missouri, said, it's not horrible, it's cloudy and 45. Lewin, that's horrible.
That's terrible.
Terrible, terrible. It's 80 degrees here. We're inside with the macro air 18-inch fan going. It's wonderful in here. But there's so much more we could get into here.
Yeah.
And we will. We will answer anybody's questions that they have about that. There's big stuff coming up between you and Goody Bo, the Brian Tester from the former 405 Street Outlaw show. There's going to be some great builds coming up, man. A lot of great stuff happening over in the Woodward fabrication area. There's a lot of big things happening. I think we can talk a little bit more tomorrow about the project that we've been engaged with the 405 boys and the new television project.
Yep.
Did I say television project?
I don't know.
Until
Stay
tomorrow-
tuned.
Until tomorrow, Bub.
Just keep on doing it Bubba style.
This episode's been brought to you by Bubba's Exotic Motorsports. That's Bubba'sExoticMotorsports.com. Please visit us for all of our online accessories and apparels out there, ladies and gentlemen, plus 19,000 new parts. American Racing for wheels. How about Nitto Tire for tires? Everything you can imagine. Borla Exhaust is out there. Whole bunch of great stuff. Miss Outlaw Boutique, the Moose is Loose. MS Outlaw Boutique, 561-660-6695. Extended holiday hours, ladies and gentlemen, for you to get your loved one something amazing. Good morning to my good friend Paul Sr. from Orange County Choppers out there and his beautiful wife, Joni. Super, super good people. Never believe what you read on see on TV. It's all drama, ladies and gentlemen. Keep it real like we do here. They are a real family. Cars and Coffee of Palm Beach, the Guinness World Record holding Cars and Coffee event. It will be in January, it'll be the 21st, where it will be, Lewin, 80 degrees again. And Lewin says, do you guys have any swag, such as shirts, hoodies, and decals? Yes. This is nice weather from Missouri, though. Yes, but move down here, Lewin. Lewin, give Shannon a call up front at the front desk, 561-748, ladies and gentlemen, 2926. Mr. Producers, we do have swag bags left from the last event, correct? Yes, sir. Okay. We do have, thank you, sir. We do have swag bags left from the last event. Lewin, and anybody else, 561-748-2926, and we'll get those out to you for sure. Nitto Tires in it. There's BEM stickers. There's all kinds of sponsorship thing. Thank you to Samsung. I don't know how to pronounce that last name. June, I'm going to try it, though. June Muang. I'm going to try it. Matthew Campbell, Russell Fulford, Wayne Varley, the legend himself, Bobby Hamby, Ken Mitchell, Robin White, everybody around the world, man. We can't thank you enough. Cars and Coffee of Palm Beach, January 21st this year. 21st, Mr. Producer? Yeah? 21st? January 21st, we'll be out there. The ladies' man will be out there on the Bubba's Exotic Motorsports tour bus with us. He loves being out there and meeting you guys as well. We couldn't have done it without all of these years, building these great cars, taking care of things the way we do, fabricating, without the one and only Phil Heck at Woodward Fabrication. Woodward is fabrication done Bubba style. Go to Woodward Fabrication on the web. Look at the fine quality of tools that they have. It's the best of the best. We are going to move into a more automated environment with the new Woodward Fab tools. We're going to have a 54 by 20 build area right behind us here, and we'll film from that area soon. It's 54 by about 12 now, so we're going to expand it much larger for the new project that's coming up. Mr. Producer, did you have one last comment before I sign off here? PBIR, Palm Beach International Raceway? Correct, Palm Beach International Raceway. They're doing a lot of good stuff out there as well, ladies and gentlemen. The official track of Bubba's Exotic Motorsports. Ladies and gentlemen, let's reach out to touch somebody's life in a very positive manner today. Even though our days may be bad, even though there's a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes, let's keep that smile on our face so that it rubs off properly and touches somebody's life in a very positive manner. Christmas is coming. You know what? You may not have all the money in the world, but you've got spirit in your heart. And the fact that you're together as a family, that's what counts the most at the end of the day, not a product you buy off the shelf. If somebody's hands are full, open the door for them, ladies and gentlemen. Help them get in their car. Help them get their packages loaded, especially your elders. Remember, without them, this great country couldn't have been built, and their hands and back are tired now. Let's pay it forward to them, can we please? If somebody's got holes in their shoes, please give them a pair of shoes, man. You've got a pair in the trunk. I took a pair of Robin's high heels out in the gym with a couple of Marlins players and put them on yesterday after I got out of the gym. It goes that way, ladies and gentlemen. You thought a tranny was something that you hooked up to the back of this engine, didn't you? How about that? Somebody's got holes in their shoes, pay less. It's very cheap, man. Give them a pair of yours. I'll bet you got a pair of running shoes in the trunk that you don't need anymore. Help them out, man. And at Christmas time, let's make sure, and all year round, man, let's make sure that everybody's got something warm or some kind of food in their stomach. If you see somebody standing on the corner down on their luck, Citgo, 7-Eleven, it's right around the corner. It's your $5 cup of coffee from Starbucks that day. You'll feel a lot better inside than the caffeine jump you get by not helping somebody. And let's not forget all these beautiful animals that God has entrusted with us, man. They're amazing animals to us. They're part of our lives. We owe and dedicate our lives to them. Paul Sr., a lot of people don't know that Paul Sr. and his wife Joni are huge rescue people. Their house is littered full of animals they've rescued. And Paul Sr. is not afraid to go in carrying with a concealed carry to rescue an animal out of a house. These are the things you don't know about those good people from Orange County Choppers. I want you guys to all pay attention. Their new show comes out in February with Paul Jr. and Mikey. I promise you guys, I've seen some of the backstage stuff. It's really, really good. Until tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for letting us come into your lives. Diesel and I want you to keep on doing it, Bubba style. Little man, you ready to get something to eat? You want to eat? You hungry?